Okay, so let's continue on with example 2. We're going to take some of those numbers from the previous page that we had. We're going to play with those numbers now. Again, it's going to be slightly different than what you see on the solutions. The solutions were done at a different semester, at a different point in time with different numbers. We're just looking for estimations here, okay? So let's talk about this. We already talked about how big is a million, a billion, and a trillion, but let's look at this now. It says, if you had 1 billion $1 bills and laid them in a line end by end, how far would it go? How far do you think we could go? And so when we're in class, we'll have a rich discussion about this. So what you're thinking about is just taking a bunch of dollar bills and you're just going to line them up so they're touching end by end. And the question is, how far will 1 billion, sorry, 1 billion $1 bills go? And so I ask, and usually I ask this question before we've talked about how big a billion is. So when I ask this question, I say, could we make it across the valley? Could we make it across Arizona? Could we make it across the United States? And the vast majority of people would think, okay, well, you're not making it across the United States with $1 billion. So let's figure it out. So what do we need to know to do this? Well, we need to do 1 billion times the length of a dollar bill. So what we need to do now is Google the length of a dollar bill. So Google that now, and when you Google it, I'm getting something like 6.14 inches is what I'm seeing. I don't need exact numbers here. Look, my question is, are we going across Arizona? Are we going across the United States? Are we going around the planet? How far can we go off of $1 billion? I don't need exact numbers here. Okay, if you make it across the majority of the United States, that's the point. That's where you make it. So I'm going to use 6 inches for a dollar bill. I know it's not 6 inches. I'm going to use 6 inches. It's actually smaller. So when we get an answer, we're actually going to go further than that. So let's start off with 6 inches is what it is for $1 bill. So I'm going to put $1 bill. In fact, I'm just going to write 1 bill. It is one $1 bill. Okay, so how many bills do we have? Well, we have 1 billion, which is a 1 with, please check my math here, we should have 9 zeros. So there's our $1 billion right there. And that's bills, right? So think about those canceling. So now I'd be in terms of inches. Well, I don't want to go from inches. So what I'm going to do is convert to feet. I know that there's 12 inches in 1 foot. Do a little bit of conversions here. And then I want to go from feet to miles. I know that there's 5,280 feet in 1 mile. So now my answer is going to be in terms of miles. So get out your calculator, hit the N over D button. On top, we're going to type 6 times 1 billion, which is a 1 with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 zeros. In the denominator, I'm going to do, well, there's a 1. I don't need that. I'm going to do the 12 times 5,280 in the denominator. And when I do that, let's see what we get. And again, remember, this is an underestimation. I'm getting a total of 94,696.9697 miles. So it's over 95,000 miles. That's what it would be because remember, we estimated. So the question is, how far does 95,000 miles go? We'll go ahead and Google the circumference of Earth. Circumference would be the length around the circle. So if you Google the circumference of Earth, Earth is approximately, when you Google it, I'm getting about 24,000 miles. So the question is, how far would I be able to go? Well, certainly I'd be able to go across Arizona. Certainly I'd be able to go across the United States. In fact, I could take, if I took 1 billion $1 bills and lined them up, this pathway would go the entire way around Earth almost 4 times. The entire way around Earth almost 4 times. So $1 billion is absolutely huge, absolutely huge. Okay? Now it says, consider the national debt. If we lined up $1 bills and laid them in a line end to end, how far would it go? Well, let's see this out. Same exact thing here, except now we're doing it's the national debt. Well, what's the national debt? The national debt we found was, what, approximately $25 trillion? The national debt was $25 trillion. So let's do that same conversion. We know we have $1 trillion. So that's a 1 with, or sorry, 25 trillion. I don't know why I'm saying 1 trillion. Scarier than that. It's 25 trillion. So let's go ahead and write that. 25 trillion. That is 12 zeros. 25 trillion bills. We know that one bill is approximately 6 inches. We know that there's 12 inches into 1 foot. And we know that there's 5280 feet in 1 mile. So that takes the length of 25 trillion dollar bills lined up, just like they were in the previous problem. And this is going to give us our answer in miles. So in my calculator, I'm doing N over D. I'm going to type in 25 trillion, which is a 25 with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 zeros. I also have that 6 in the numerator, so I'm going to multiply it times 6. In the denominator, I have the 1. I don't need that, but then I'm going to do the 12 times 5280. That's going to give me my answers in miles. So what am I getting in terms of miles? I'm getting approximately 2367424 Okay, so what is that? Well, this would be hundreds, this is thousands, this is millions, this is billions. So that's over 2 billion miles. Holy cow, that's a huge number. And that is way different than what I have written in the solutions. What I have written in the solutions on paper is wrong, so please be careful with that. And remember, again, this is saying each dollar bill was 6 inches, and technically it's more than 6 inches, so it would be far more than 2 billion miles. So the question then is, how far away is the sun from Earth? So Google it. I'm getting roughly 95 million miles, 94 million miles. So sun is about 95 million miles away. So could we make it to the sun? Yeah. Take that answer in your calculator, that nearly 2.4 billion. Divide that by 95 million, which is the 95 with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 zeros, and we're getting, could go to the sun about 25 times. So, ridiculous. Our national debt could take us, in $1 bills, could take us all the way to the sun, which we can't even travel that far yet as human beings, but heck, we'd build our dollar bridge here. We could go to the sun about 25 times. Absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. Okay, it says, consider the national debt. How much debt does each person in the U.S. have if we split the national debt between the U.S. citizens? Remember, our government's income is taxes. That's how our governments run, is they're paid off of taxes. So our government's debt is technically the people's debt, we the people. So that $25 trillion in debt that we have is our debt. Not the government's debt, it's our debt. We're the ones that have to pay the interest payments because our tax money is used to do it. We're the one that have to pay the debt back. So our debt was $25 billion. Let's write that number. $25 trillion. Make sure I get this right. I got my 12 zeros in there. There's my $25 trillion of national debt. And then let's go back and look at how many people we had. The more updated number that we had was about 328 million people. So this is going to give us how many dollars per person we owe. So in our calculator, let's do 25 trillion. 25 with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 zeros. Divide that by 328 million, 328 with 6 zeros, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Be careful when you're putting it into your calculator. Hit enter. What does every single one of us, one of the United States citizens owe? And it's about $76,219, roughly. That's per person what we owe based off of our national debt. That's every man, woman, child in the United States. Whether you just were born or you're about to die, every single United States citizen alive, if we wanted to pay off the national debt, would have to write a check for over $76,000 to the government today. And that number is only rising every single day. Watch the national debt clock. Very, very scary thing to watch. So that gives you a little perspective of how much are they overspending, how much do they owe, what's going on, how is this going on. Very, very, very scary here. Very scary here. So let's say you come out of college with a solid job making $75,000 a year. How many years would you have to work to make the largest lotto prize? So when I used to teach at the university, I used to work at the University of Colorado. When I used to work at the university, I would ask, how much do you guys expect to make when you come out of the school with a degree? And I would have very, very innocent, but not so bright necessarily, not that they're not bright, just not realistic students who would say, oh yeah, I'm going to come out with a bachelor's degree making $100,000 a year. And the answer is no, you're not. You're absolutely not. There's very, very few jobs in this world where you can come out with a bachelor's degree and make that kind of money. In fact, the majority of people coming out with a bachelor's degree probably make about $40,000 to $50,000. So coming out with a bachelor's degree making $75,000 a year would be an extremely, extremely good job. In fact, having a master's or even a doctorate coming out making that kind of money, you would probably be pretty happy. $75,000 is a very, very good job. Very good job to have. Two parents making $75,000 a year today could stand a chance of raising a family comfortably. Okay? So that's today. Of course, it wouldn't be the same 30 years from now. So what I want you to think is just the context of $75,000 is a damn good job. And we're going to play off of this number for the rest of the packet. So I just wanted you to get some context for that number. So let's look at this. If you make $75,000 a year, how long would it take for you to make the lotto prize? Well, let's look at the largest lotto prize. That was about $1.5 billion. So it's 1,500,000,000. That's $1.5 billion, right? And that's how much money it is. And then what we make is we make $75,000 in 1 year. And so what this is going to do is this is going to tell us how many years you would have to work. So I'm going to do 1.5 billion in my calculator, 1,500,000,000, and then I'm going to divide that by 75,000. 75, 1, 2, 3 zeros. Hit enter. How many years do I have to work? I'd have to work about 20,000. Let me go ahead and label that, sorry. 20,000 years. Long time? Yeah, I think so. So maybe while I'm sitting there trying to work for those 20,000 years, I could also try to count to the number 1 billion. This is absolutely ridiculous to conceive that person winning that lotto. Now, again, I think it was multiple people that won that lotto, but if you won that lotto prize, you have taken a good salary job of $75,000 a year, and you have worked that good salary job for 20,000 years. Absolutely ridiculous. Let's keep on playing on that. It says, let's assume the average lifespan is about 80 years. How many lifespans would it take making $75,000 a year, working all 80 years of your life? So you're born, you're pushed out in your diaper, you're put into the workforce, you work, then you die, and then you're born, and you work, and then you die. So if you did that, how many lifetimes would it take? Well, we have 20,000 years is how long it takes to make $1 billion. So let's take the 20,000 years, and we know that 80 years is one lifetime. Okay, so this is going to tell me how many lifetimes I have. So in my calculator, I'm doing 20,000 divided by 80. Go ahead and do some now. And I'm getting about 250 lifetimes. Okay, that's ridiculous. It would take me 250 lifetimes to be able to make this money. And that's not even true, because a work life is usually about maybe 30, 40 years is what you probably want to work. About 40 years would be a good, nice, long career. And I'm saying in this example, you're working 80 years. So really you're looking at roughly 500 lifetimes if you only worked 40 years each lifetime, giving yourself a little bit of time to grow, get trained, and a little bit of time to retire and die in peace, right? So that's not generations, that's lifetime. Think about generations. The difference in age between your parents is probably around 20, maybe 30 years. So this would be even less. This would be even more generations. So do you know where your family was 500 generations ago? Did you even have a family 500 generations ago? Would it even be feasible for your family to make this kind of money? And that's $1.5 billion. Well, go ahead and look at what Donald Trump says his net worth is. Again, this is what Donald Trump says. There's no evidence backing any of this. He's provided absolutely no statements to show that he's worth this, but he estimates himself worth over, I think, $4 billion. So we would have to work a damn good job for over 20,000 years to earn $1 billion. And that would be if we didn't have any taxes come out, we worked 80 years of our life, no taxes coming out, every cent went straight to the bank. It would take us over 20,000 years to make $1 billion or $1.5 billion, and he's saying he's worth 2 to 3 times that. So where does that kind of wealth come from? How do you get that kind of wealth, that kind of money? He's not the only billionaire. There's the Bill Gates, which is one of the richest people in the world. Warren Buffett. You now have Mark Zuckerberg is really, really, really rich, multi-billionaires. But I just wanted you to have context of these people with billions of dollars. They can spend money like this without thinking, and for us, that's 20,000 years of 80 years each, 20,000 years of hard labor, 250 lifetimes of hard labor just to touch even a fraction of what they have. So very big numbers, very interesting context, I hope. Again, on the next pages, we're going to start getting a little more. It has a political tint to it, but again, I want you to just look at the facts, look at the numbers, explore the numbers with me.